Erev Tov Chaverim, I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live, and really was thinking we weren't going to be on this afternoon after YouTube went down, and I know there had been some speculation that that would actually happen, so I didn't expect it to come back up. In fact, I had taken and loaded up on Patreon a teaching I'd done some time back, probably was loaded here on Israeli News Live, talking about King David. Just for something there, because I'd been working on other issues today, and then next thing I know, we have YouTube back up, so I figured I'd go ahead and share some of these thoughts with you. I just kind of stopped for a while there, though. But anyway, this video right here was shared with Lorenzo on his channel. Already happened, and these are tanks that, according to the statement here, Budweiser Leopard tanks spotted around Nemenzies, Lithuania, just a few miles from the Belarusian border. And I was kind of wondering, why would the tanks be headed towards Belarus? And so I just did a little digging just to see, is there military drills or something of that nature there going on? But one thing that I did catch here, and this is the Ministry of Defense of Belarus, that it may be like a subliminal message, you might say, being sent to them. The meeting of the CIS Defense Ministry Council begins in Uzbekistan. October the 12th, 2018, this article came out. The Belarusian military delegation led by Defense Minister Lieutenant General Andrei Ravkov is attending a regular meeting of the CIS Defense Ministry Council, which is being held in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. Now, the fact of several nations there in the east part of Europe, some of these, of course, being former nations, whether they were under the Soviet Union or whether they were actually just part of the communist empire. I can't really say as far as each individual state there, but they still remain very close allies. They're allies to Russia, and it could be one of the reasons why these tanks were headed towards their border, just as a show of force there. Don't really know as of yet, but we'll kind of look into that. We know there's a lot of issues happening near in Ukraine. The tensions are continually being ratcheted up there. The large missile system that I showed you that was sent over there the other day, and then in turn, the people of Donetsk, they sent their own system near the contact line with the Ukrainians there, showing that they also have some fairly large weapons and will also retaliate. We're talking about the same system. I forget what they call that system. I don't have it up before me, but the same system that was allegedly used to take down the or that they accused Russia of taking down the flight that flew over Ukraine during that wartime period there. Both Ukrainians and the Russians both have that plane there. Not plane, but the weapon system. Also, Russia accuses U.S. inaction of allowing ISIS to grow east of the Euphrates. And I brought this article up here mainly for the sake of another interesting thing that popped up here on Twitter. Syrian Foreign Minister after Idlib, our goal is east of the Euphrates. He is speaking there kind of like in the parliament there in Syria there. He's talking about that they got to finish Idlib first, and then he said they're going to turn their focus towards east of the Euphrates there. So this may be, too, why we're seeing Russia accusing U.S. inaction of allowing ISIS to grow east of the Euphrates. That will be a justification to go in there and begin a push on that side. That's going to be met with a tremendous amount of resistance, especially in light of this article here on Arut Shiva. This is the plan that will remove Iran from Syria. Trump's administration reportedly developing new strategy for Syria. They would focus more on pushing out Iran and its proxies. So that means, that kind of shows us there that the United States is going to step up the war in Syria. So they definitely have no plans of leaving. And as soon as the Syrian government tries to reclaim their own land on the eastern side of the Euphrates, it is going to be all-out war. We already know, as we reported before, Turkey is making advances now east of the Euphrates as well. They have already been given over the city of mil.by up in the north, and that was something that the United States allegedly was not going to allow the Turks to have. They were going to stay there and defend the Kurds, but the The U.S. told the Kurds, pull out with us or either stay there and die, basically, is the end result of that. So just not a good situation at all. U.S. won't impose economic sanctions against the Saudis to protect its arms sales to the kingdom. That's an analysis that's coming out about the Saudi journalist that feared for his life that ended up dead at a place there. Let me just read to you here. The U.S. sanctions threat against Saudi Arabia will likely remain only a threat. Analysis have told RT the kingdom is a major buyer of American arms and is also a huge holder of U.S. Treasury bonds, which makes its sanctions improbable. U.S. President Donald Trump has vowed severe punishment if the Saudis ordered the killing of Washington Post journalist Kamal Khashoggi. The Turkish authorities have claimed that they have proof the journalist was tortured, killed, and dismembered in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. I wonder if the Turkish government is trying to drive a wedge between the Saudis for their own particular gains. Well, it's just not going to happen. All those crime families in Washington have a great deal of investment with the Saudi royal house there, and they're not going to give it up. I need to have a particular guest on. In fact, we got some surprise guests coming up here on Israeli News Live. Not going to say much about it as of yet, but it is going to really rattle some cages, and I'm sure you will see why once those things begin to come later this week. Got a very special guest coming up later this week. I'm always pretty good about not saying anything about it, mainly because I like the surprise. The element of surprise is always the best, and it will definitely open your eyes in some areas like you never have thought possible before. So let's get ready for that. And this particular issue right here with the Saudis, I was just having a conversation today with a dear gentleman that actually knows a lot of this from a litigation standpoint there. Some very serious things about the Saudi family, the Bush family. Yeah, you'd be surprised. And of course, Donald Trump is no different. He's got his pockets pretty deep down in the Saudi pockets there. This is why, friends, you just don't realize how things are really going on in this world. As long as they are going to still be arming the jihadists around the world, we're going to have a society that allows cash. The dollar will stay afloat. I know you hear all the talk about the U.S. economy is going to crash. They can't crash it as of yet, because as long as you're funding jihadists, you're funding these covert operations around the world. They need the drug money to flow. You have to have cash, and then this way it's not traceable, or it makes it very difficult to trace where the money comes from to arm all these terrorist groups. So Syria's not done. They got to deal with Iran still. Looks like Venezuela's on the chopping block. Got some issues down in Africa to take care of. So yeah, we're still going to have our cash a little bit longer while they deal with all these troubled spots in the world. I'm Steve Benoon. You're watching Israeli News Live. Don't forget to support the broadcast, israelnewslive.org. And I know we are working with our webmaster there, Jamie, to take care of getting the venue location as well as the hotels all added to the website. I think it's going to be here on the top up here somewhere. We have not added that as of yet. I did get some of that information, so I'll probably put it on israelnewslive.org where we have the event listed there. I'll try to get that plugged in for you guys so you know where you're at, where you're going. I know you're going to Kansas City, Kansas. Dr. Steve Pigeon be speaking there, my wife, myself. Right now it's a one-day event. We are looking at possibly adding a day on to this because of so much information we want to be able to share with you, but I don't know. So I'm not going to say for sure that it's so, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, I'm Steve Benoon. You're watching Israeli News Live. Don't forget to get your tickets. We have 45 days, December the 2nd. Shawnee, Kansas is a suburb of Kansas City, Kansas. You're not going to want to miss the meeting. Erev Tov. Shalom, shalom.